The Ramban says that this whole time, this whole process from Mitzrayim, Sfiras HaOmer, and Shavuos is really one long process. He calls Sfiras HaOmer the Chol HaMoed of Pesach and Shavuos. It's one long process. Where we started on Pesach, we started with Ata b'chartonu mikol ha'am, v'ahavta yisonu v'rotzisa banu v'rimam tonu mikol ha'lashonos, where we experienced Hashem choosing us. We experienced Hashem's love. We experienced Hashem exalting us above all other nations. Where we experienced the line, B'ni b'chayri Yisrael, where Hashem calls us his firstborn son, which that connection, the connection between a father and a son, the unique connection is that it's blood related, that it's eternal, it's unconditional, it's there. We experienced that. And in addition, we experienced all the Nisim, where we, through us, the greatest revelation possibly in history happened, that to the point where Vayedu Mitzrayim ki ani Hashem b'kerev haaretz, that Mitzrayim knew, who is the paradigm of the lowest of the low, they knew that Hashem was running the world. Pesach is the foundation to Emunah, where the Chinuch says, on the first commandment, Anochi Hashem Elokecha asher hotzeisicha me'eretz Mitzrayim, the famous question which is asked is, why say asher hotzeisicha me'eretz Mitzrayim? Why say, I am Hashem your God that took you out of Mitzrayim? Say that I'm Hashem that created the world. And the Chinuch explains that it wouldn't be enough. It wouldn't be enough if it wrote, or Hashem said that I am Hashem your God that created the world. Because it's possible there were Apikorim that believed that Hashem created the world and he left. Mitzrayim tells us that Hashem is constantly involved in our lives, orchestrating everything, constantly recreating this world. Every situation in our life is from every single thing that happens to us is from Hashem, and that we know from Mitzrayim. Sfiras HaOmer, the nation we're going through, it's the anticipation and the excitement for Kabbalas Torah, where at the same time we're stripping ourselves of impurities and building our vessels to be able to receive the Torah, leading up to what we just experienced, Rosh Chodesh Sivan, where the pasuk says, "Vayichan Shom Yisrael neged hahar ki ish echad b'lev echad," which a prerequisite for receiving Torah is the Achdus, as the last Mishnah in all of Shas is that the Kli Machdik Bracha, what holds blessing, Shalom. Shalom is what holds blessing. And in order to receive the highest blessing, the highest gift, the most unbelievable treasure, the Torah, we need to have Shalom. And in addition, then obviously moving to Matan Torah, which is, as the Gemara explains, it's Matan Torah is Yom Chasunasa. It's the day, it's the wedding day. It's a day where we engage in a relationship with Hashem. Knesset Yisrael, we engage in a relationship of a mature relationship of husband and wife. And we receive the Torah. It's mamish, it's the highest time. But a mistake can arise, or what can happen is that a person believes that all of this, that this whole period, that this whole time is specifically about the nation of Klal Yisrael. It's not about me personally. It's not talking to me, that I personally am going through this whole period of Pesach, Sfiras HaOmer, Matan Torah. We're talking about the nation when we hear the word Ata b'chartonu, mikol ha'am, v'ahavta yisonu v'rotzisa banu. It's the nation, it's the Klal Yisrael, that Hashem wants us. And what can happen is that a person could start feeling or believing that my personal avodah is not so important or not, and is not so desirable to Hashem. It's a mistake that one can make. And as we know, Chazal says, specifically, this whole process of Pesach, going through Sfiras Omer to Shavous, is completely, it's meant to be understood on a personal level. As the Medrash explains, we know the famous Pasuk, which we also read in the hagadah, which says, Ba'avur zeh osali b'tzeisim Mitzrayim, that because of this, Hashem did this for me. And the Medrash says, why is it singular? To tell you that it was worth it, it was kedai for Hashem to do all the nisim, to do everything for you, for every single individual in Klal Yisrael that left, it was worth it. All the nisim, everything, it was kedai for the one individual, Bavur zeh also li. And we know that the Gemara in Pesachim, which we read in the hagadah, which says, "B'chol dor v'dor chayv adam liros es atzma ki'ilu hu yatsa miMitzrayim," that each one of us has to look at it and see as if I left Mitzrayim, as if it was me. And we have to all see that, we have to realize that all the nisim, everything that happened was specifically for me. And then Netziv takes it a step deeper, where he explains that he compares two pieces in Chazal. One, Chayv Adam Nuris Es Atzma Kiluhu Yatzmi Mitzrayim, that one is obligated to see it as if he left Mitzrayim, as if he left, and the famous Chazal in Sanhedrin, which says that Chayv Adam Loimar V'Shvili Nivra Olam, that each one is obligated to say that I created the world, that both of these Maimer Chazal have the unique language of Chayv Adam, that each person is obligated to say. And what the Netziv says is something amazing. He says that the reason why each person has to view Chayv Adam Nuris Es Atzma Kiluhu Yatzmi Mitzrayim, each person has to view it as if he left Mitzrayim, is specifically because he has to realize it. He has to embody that, and he has to become empowered by that. That all the nisim, that everything happened because b'shvili nivra olam, because the whole world was created for you to reveal Hashem, for you to reveal and do your unique task and your unique mission in this world, to go in the ways of Torah. And going to Sfiras Ha'omer, where we went through, where Reb Nosson brings down the diuk, where he says, Usfartem lochem, and you shall count for yourself, you shall count for you. And Reb Nosson says, what's these extra words for you? He says, for you specifically, that personal growth and personal development is a personal process, and you can't chas v'shalom compare yourself to anyone. And you have to view it again as b'shvili nivra olam, as Reb Nachman says in Hashmata of Likutei Moharan, where he explains that Echad HaYavram, what gave Avram the ability to be himself, to do what he did in the world, was because he viewed himself as one. As there's no one else in the world besides him. He, as Reb Nachman says in Torah, hey, that the words b'shvili nivra olam, that the world was created for me, doesn't mean that you could sit back, that it's all about you just sitting back and relaxing and just basking in Hashem, which is also true, which is also the tachas. But Reb Nachman says, no, b'shvili nivra olam means that you have a responsibility, that each one of us has a responsibility to be metaking this world. And therefore, going through Sfiras Omer, Reb Nosson warns us not to compare ourselves to others. And leading up to Vayichan Shom Yisrael Neged Ahar, which we just went through, which we think the words Achdus and Shalom could mistakenly mean that one becomes nullified within the cloud, that one becomes one and just loses his self-identity within the cloud. But as we heard on the Lag BaOmer event, Rabbi Gerzi came on and he said a beautiful thing, that specifically Achdus and Shalom is made up of the combination of Ahava and Kavod. And Kavod even comes first, where each person has to have the space. Each person has to be given the space to be himself, to be his own individual, unique person. And within that, love him for who he is, unconditional love, and at the same time giving him the space to be. And that Vayichan Shom Yisrael Neged Ahar doesn't take away from the individual, doesn't take away from one's personal mission and what one has to bring to this world. On the contrary, it's Shalom is the prat within the klal, maintaining his pratness, maintaining his individuality. And Rav Kluger adds, and this really blew my mind, because in my head, Kabbalas HaTorah is always looked at as like it's a mass revelation, and it's always spoken about in the big numbers, like, you know, like everyone always talks about, like that's where our emunah starts from, that we had a mass revelation by Har Sinai. And it's always about the nation, it's about Knesset Yisrael engaging in a relationship with Hashem. And at least for myself, I never really thought of Kabbalas HaTorah and that the marriage is talking about me personally, that Hashem wants to engage in a relationship with me, Psach Yefarman. But the Medrash says exactly that. And I just want to read it inside because it just blew my mind. The Medrash says in Shir Hashirim Rabbah that Rabbanan Omrin, the Rabbanan said, that Hadibor Atzmai, that Hashem himself, Mechazra al Kol Echad Ve'echad, went to each person, Yisrael V'omer Lo, and he said to him, Mekableini Atalecha, are you going to accept me on you? Kach v'kach mitzvahs yeshbi. This is how many mitzvahs I have within me. Kach v'kach dinim yeshbi. I have this many laws. Kach v'kach anoshim yeshbi. Kach v'kach gezerus yeshbi. I have this many. Kach v'kach kalam v'chumras yeshbi. And each person in Klal Yisrael said, Hain v'hain, said, yes, I accept this. I accept the Torah upon myself. And what the Medrash says, and this blew my mind, the Medrash says, Miyad, immediately, Hadibor noshko al piv. Hashem kissed him. The Torah kissed him on his mouth. Which the Eitz Yosef explains, this is describing, and really what the Medrash is describing is the pasuk in Shir Hashirim that says, Shakeni minashiko is pihu, that give me of the kisses of your mouth, that the Eitz Yosef, who's one of the main commentators on the Medrash Rabbah, or the Shir Hashirim Rabbah, says that what does it mean that Hashem kissed us? That after each one of us received the Torah with our mouth and said, Hain, Hain, each one of us individually, on each dibur, the Kedushas Hadibor Mistabekes Im Nafshoy, that the Kedusha of Hashem and his Torah cleaved to his soul. Each person experienced the vehicle. Each person experienced prophecy, but it was unique. Each person had Hashem coming over to him and saying, do you accept my Torah? And each person responded, yes, personally. And why is it called Piyu? He says, because the Peh relates to the soul, as we know, Vayhi Adam L'Nefesh Chaya, in Bereshis, that man was a living soul, and Onkelos says, L'Ruach Mamala, that he was a speaking soul, he was a speaking spirit. But the idea is that each one of us had Hashem coming over to him saying, do you accept my Torah? And even deeper, another measure says that the pasuk says, Anochi Hashem Elokecha, I am Hashem, your God. Specifically your God. That each person felt as if Hashem was speaking directly to them. It doesn't say Elokechem, your God plural, it's Elokecha, your God. And each person felt that individual connection. Each person felt that Tevekas. Each person had their own unique Kabbalas HaTorah within the klal, but it was a unique experience for everyone. Yeah.
We've reached the end of your time here.
Okay, fine. So I'll just recap. Yashika, thanks for pointing that out. I appreciate it. Thanks so much. Just to recap. So right now in these times, we've been given opportunity in these Corona times to really work on our own personal connection with Hashem. And we've been essentially forced to work on a personal tefillah on our personal avodah. And may we be mamish b'zoichet too. This is one of the messages that you brought that I took out of this time, and may we be zoichet to really each one of us individually, personally experience our own unique Kabbalah Torah within the Klal. Amen. Chag Sameach. Yashar Koach.
Amen.